and they were full of eyes within. And they rest not day and night, saying, Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh.
How many times they say it?
3 times.
Read.
Master Elohim Almighty, which was and is to come.
With what?
Which was, which is, and is to come.
So again, they say this 3 times as emphasis. 1, holy is not good enough. 2 is not good enough. 3 is to put the emphasis on it. Get me Isaiah chapter 6 and verse 3.
Isaiah chapter 6 and verse 3. And one cried unto another and said, Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh.
Read it again.
And one cried unto another and said, Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh.
Again, 1 ain't good enough. 2 ain't good enough. We got to go with 3. So it's being repeated. It's an emphasis put on doing something 3 times. How many times did Mashiach pray in the garden?
3.
Get that, Matthew chapter 26 and verse 44.
Matthew chapter 26 and verse 44. And he left them and went away again and prayed the 3rd time.
How many times?
The 3rd time.
Read.
Saying the same words.
Saying what?
The same words.
Same words. So he prays 3 times, saying the same thing. Is emphasis on the 3 times saying something or doing something, right? How many times did Peter deny him? Jump down to verse 75.
Verse 75. And Peter remembered the words of Yeshua, which said unto him, Before the cock crow, you shall deny me thrice.
How many?
Thrice.
Thrice, or 3 times you're going to do this. So we're going to go behind the scene and look at this a little bit and see something with Peter in this, because this nearly brought me to tears of finding this out. Give me John 21, verse 15.
John 21:15. So when they had denied, Yeshua said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonah, love you me more than these?
He said what?
Love you me more than these?
So he's going to ask Peter this how many times? 3 times. Read that from the top again.
So when they had denied, Yeshua said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonah, love you me more than these?
So he's asking, Peter, do you love me? Read.
He said unto him, yeah, master.
He said what?
Yeah, master.
So he just answered him, yes, I love you. Read.
You know that I love you. He said unto him, feed my lamb.
Do what?
Feed my lamb.
Read.
He said unto him again the 2nd time, Simon, son of Jonah, love you me?
He said what?
Love you me?
You just asked him this. You asked him again. Read.
And he said unto him, yeah, master. You know that I love you.
You what?
You know that I love you.
You know that I love you. You just asked me that. Read.
And he said unto him, feed my sheep.
Feed my lambs. At first he said, now feed my sheep. Read.
And he said unto him the 3rd time.
How many times?
The 3rd time.
The 3rd time. Read.
Simon, son of Jonah, love you me?
Do you really love me? Read.
Peter was grieved.
He was what?
Grieved.
Why is Peter grieved from this question? He knows exactly why he asking him. He's asking him 3 times, and this time Peter's grieved to the core because he asked him the 3rd time. Read that little piece again.
And he said unto him the 3rd time, Simon, son of Jonah, love you me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time.
Because what?
Because he said unto him the third time.
Why did he ask him 3 times? Exactly. Because Peter denied him 3 times. I got to ask you this 3 times to get to the quarters. So let's see something in the background that I just discovered as of late. Give me Luke chapter 22 and verse 54.
Luke chapter 22 and verse 54. Then took they him and led him and brought him into the high priest's house. And Peter followed.
This is the same account. So Peter is following. Read.
Afar off. And when they had kindled a fire in the midst of the hall, and were set down together, Peter sat down among them.
He did what?
Sat down among them.
So the same place that they about to do what they doing to Mashiach, Peter is in the same room with them. The other disciples is out of there. But Peter is the only one that's there. Read.
But a certain maid beheld him as he sat by the fire, and earnestly looked upon him, and said, This man was also with him.
She said, what?
This man was also with him.
So somebody has identified Peter. He was one of them. He was with them. Read.
And he denied him, saying, Woman, I know him not. And after a little while, another saw him and said, You are also of them.
Somebody else identifies Peter. You was with them.
And Peter said, Man, I'm not. And about the space of 1 hour, after another confidently affirmed.
Somebody else saying for sure, you are that man. You was with him. Read.
Saying, Of a truth, this fellow was with him. He a Galilean. And Peter said, Man, I know not what you're talking about. And immediately,
what?
And immediately.
So this is the 3rd time, and immediately what takes place?
While he yet spake.
While he was speaking, just like in Job when it says, while he was yet speaking, somebody came with the bad news again. But right here, while Peter is saying, I don't know him, what happens?
The cock crew.
The what?
The cock crew.
Read.
And the master turned.
And the what?
And the master turned.
While he was saying, the Mashiach turns and do what?
And looked
and
upon
did what?
Peter. And looked upon Peter.
He looked at Peter in his face. Imagine being Peter right there. Imagine you being Peter and you just denied him 3 times. And you in the same room as him, and he looked at you in your face. Soon as he did it, imagine what Peter felt like right there. Imagine, bro. This is the absolute worst. That man turned and looked at you when you did it. So again, 3 times. 3 times that's being done. Get me Genesis chapter 6, verse 11.
Genesis 6 and 11. The earth also was corrupt before Elohim.
It was what?
Corrupt before Elohim.
So he just told us that it was corrupt. Read.
And the earth was filled with violence. And Elohim looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt.
It was what?
Corrupt.
It was. He just told us that. Read.
For all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth.
Here it goes again. He has to say it 3 times in these verses as emphasis to let you know just how corrupt the earth is at this moment. So when you get this, it shows that you're not going to be complete. So he's letting you know that the emphasis is on you not being complete. Right? Hold on one moment. So man without Yah's spirit is incomplete. Rebelling from Yah. So when you get Yah's Ruach, it makes you a form of being complete. Get me Matthew chapter 5 and verse 48.
Matthew 5 and 48. Be you therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in Shamaim is perfect.
Even as what?
Even as your Father which is in Shamaim is perfect.
So he's commanding the people to be perfect. This is not a suggestion. This is a command telling you to be perfect. If you walk in the Spirit, you won't do what? You won't walk after the lust of the flesh. Genesis 11 verse 5.
Genesis chapter 11 and verse 5. And Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And Yahuwah said, Behold, the people is one.
The people is what?
The people is one.
So he said these people are one. Remember, if you join something, y'all become
One.
one. So the people are one. Now go to Genesis 6, verse 5.
Genesis chapter 6 and verse 5. And Elohim saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth.
It was what?
Great in the earth.
So if the wickedness of man is great in the earth, how great? Read.
And that every imagination.
How much of the imagination?
Every imagination.
So he says everything that these people imagine, everything that they think all day long, it is evil. Everything that they do. So the imagination that these people got is evil. How long? Continuously. So everything that they think is evil. Nothing good is coming out of anything that they doing. So at the tower, he said the people are becoming one. And they thought that this tower was invincible. Nothing will be restrained. But let's see. Give me Numbers 13 and 28.
Numbers chapter 13 and verse 28. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land.
They be what?
Strong that dwell in the land. And the cities are walled.
They what?
The cities are walled.
So they thought that this tower was strong and it was walled. And they thought because we got it strong and walled, nobody can break it and overtake it. Deuteronomy 1:28.
Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 28. Whither shall we go up? Our brethren have discouraged our heart, saying the people is greater and taller than we. The cities are great and walled up to Shamaim.
Walled up to where?
To Shamaim.
Walled up to Shamaim. So again, they thinking this is a godless society. Everything is physical. It's all about what you can see, what you can put your hands on. Not about anything spiritual. This is what the sixes are representing. That man is completely and utterly Yahless. Right? Genesis 11, verse 7. So we know that the waters were together before the flood. And they wasn't supposed to be.
Genesis 11:7. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language.
And do what?
Confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So Yahuwah scattered them abroad.
He did what?
Scattered them abroad.
He scattered them abroad. Read.
From there upon the face of all the earth.
So what does Yah just do with the people?
Separated.
He just separated the waters away from each other. Because when these waters come together, what do? Death. They bring death. So right now in the world, they have a group called the United something. United what? Are they supposed to be united? They're not. That's evil right there out in the open. So what do you think that they're actually planning on doing? Exactly. So the nations are going to come back together again to fight against him. But you're not supposed to do that. So in this thing, it made Yah get up off of his throne and come down. Right? He had to come down and look at the city and see it and to separate these people from each other. Because their imagination was about to run wild just like it was before. And he don't want to have to kill you right back over again after he just did it with the flood, which this was like 100 years afterwards. What verse you at?
That was verse 7.
Read on.
So Yahuwah scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city.
They did what?
Left off to build the city.
So they had to stop building the city. Read.
Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because Yahuwah did there confound the language.
Confuse the languages. Read.
Of all the earth, and from there did Yahuwah scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. These are the generations of Shem.
Of who?
Of Shem.
Read.
Shem was 100 years old and begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. Shem lived after he begot Arphaxad 500 years and begot sons and daughters.
So Shem was on the earth still when Abraham was on the earth. Let that sink in. He was still on the earth when Abraham was on the earth. Because Abraham then was at the tower. Read.
And Arphaxad lived 530 years and begot Salah. And Arphaxad lived after he begot Salah 400 years and begot sons and daughters. Salah lived 30 years and begot Eber. And Salah lived after he begot Eber 403 years.
Now all of this is still within the time of the tower. Read.
In 3 years and begot sons and daughters. And Eber lived 430 years.
So who is Eber? Abram's father. What group of people come from him? The who? The Hebrews. So it's a group at the tower that's called the what?
Hebrews.
The Hebrews. So it's a group there that's called the Hebrews. Read.
And Eber lived 430 years and begot Peleg.
We begot who?
Peleg.
Peleg. Read.
And Eber lived after he begot Peleg 430 years and begot sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begot Ru. And Peleg lived after he begot Ru 209 years and begot sons and daughters.
So notice, Peleg's lifespan drops significantly from the father before him, from Eber's. It drops off quickly. I wonder why. It was something happening at the tower. So we got a group called the Hebrews. Do y'all think that the Hebrews was helping to build the tower? They wasn't. We're going to see. So it's a group there because this is why. What was Cush known for? He was a hunter. Who was he hunting? Why was he hunting the people? Because these people wouldn't be doing what? They wouldn't be bowing down. They wouldn't be worshiping him. They wouldn't be following his orders, which is to build the tower and to worship the false gods there. But Yah says, in Peleg's days was the earth divided. So how did Yah scatter these people? Let's see something. Get me Genesis chapter 10, verse 25.
Genesis 10:25. And Eber, and unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg. For in his days was the earth divided.
In his days what?
The earth was divided.
The earth was divided in Peleg's days. So this is all at the tower. Now what does Peleg's name mean? Earthquake. So if there's a giant earthquake happen in this room, where do you stand at when it's over with? What will happen if it happened in this room and it split? Wherever you at, that's where you at. But y'all ain't together no more. So he spread this out using this earthquake to cause these people to spread out. And what do you think happened to the tower itself? It collapsed, falls in on itself, because this earthquake was great. There's a thing called Pangea. This destroyed Pangea of one big continent. So that's what people will say, well, it's no evidence of the tower. Of course not. It's been destroyed. The tower had to bow down like everybody else. This tower was showing these people's pride. So Peleg and Nahor's lives are cut short from everybody else's. If you go through this thing, you'll see Peleg's and Nahor's life is cut short from everybody. So the mighty hunter was hunting them down. Anybody that wasn't down with this, he was hunting them down and killing them. So it's two groups. This group that was there that was following Yah and everybody else. Let's see who Yah the God of. Give me Exodus chapter 7, verse 16.
Exodus chapter 7 at verse 16. And you shall say unto him, Yahuwah Elohim of the Hebrews have sent me unto you.
Yahuwah what?
Elohim of the Hebrews.
So he's the God of the Hebrews. So this group that was Eber, that comes from Shem's line, they wasn't doing what everybody else was doing, which made this guy, we're going to see through the parallels, come down and hunt them down and kill them. So Yah had to come down in order to stop these people, the Hebrews, from being killed off from Shem's line. If he don't come down and stop this, what happens? Or what don't happen?
All the people.
Mashiach don't come. So he had to come down and stop this at the tower. If he don't come down and stop it, his people never make it out. Get me Daniel chapter 3, verse 11. So we go to the second installment of Babylon. Daniel chapter 3, verse 11.
Daniel 3 and 11. And whoso fall not down and worship, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Yehudim, or Jews, whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded you. They serve not your gods.
Read that verse again.
There are certain Jews, or Yehudim.
There's certain what?
Jews, or Yehudim.
So notice, we have a group, Jews, that's at this quote-unquote image, or this tower, right? It's another group that's bearing Yah's name, so to speak, that's at this tower. And they're about to be forced to do something that they don't want to do or try to be forced. Read.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded you. They serve not your gods, nor worship the golden image which you set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, emotional, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king, Nebuchadnezzar. And they brought them before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true?
Is it what?
Is it true?
Read.
O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you not serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I set up?
It's the same repeat. Read.
Now, if you be ready, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music.
How many instruments is that? No, read it again.
6.
It's 6 instruments.
Now, if you be ready at that time, you hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music. You fall down and you worship the image that I have made. Y'all ain't get the things out of Washington. But if you worship not, you shall be cast the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace.
Into what?
The midst of the burning fiery furnace.
So their lives is being threatened. If you don't do this, we gonna throw you alive into the midst of the fiery furnace. Imagine being told that. The same type of thing that was happening at the tower. You're gonna see the parallels. Same type of thing was taking place. Build this thing, worship, or die. The mighty hunter gonna get you. Read.
And who is that Elohim that shall deliver you out of my hands?
So he asked the question, who is Elohim? Read.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we ain't careful to answer you in this matter. If it be so, our Elohim who we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace.
He's what?
He's able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace.
Read.
And he will deliver us out of your hand,
But
O king. But if not, be it known unto you, O king, that we will not serve your gods.
we what?
We will not serve your gods.
We ain't gonna serve your gods. We ain't building no tower. We ain't worshiping you. We ain't doing none of these things. Read.
Nor worship the golden image which you set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury.
Full of what?
Full of fury.
Read.
And the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was
Read.
wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
So notice at the tower, what did Yah have to do to save the Hebrews?
He had to come down.
He did what?
He had to come down.
He had to come down. Read.
These men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished.
He was what?
He was astonished,
Read.
and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto the counselors, didn't we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire?
How many people we put in there? Read.
They answered the king and said, true, O king. And he answered and said, wait a minute. I see 4 men loose walking in the midst of the fire.
How many?
4.
We put 3 in there, but it's 4 in there now. Read.
And they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of God.
Like the who?
Like the Son of Elohim.
Like the Son of Elohim. The same thing he did at the tower, came down to save his people. This is him right here coming down to save his people again. So guess what's going to take place in the end? He's going to come down, save his people again. It's going to be somebody with the name on them, whether it's Hebrew, whether it's Jews, or whatever the new name that he's going to give at the time. Get me Revelation chapter 2, verse 17.
Revelation chapter 2 and verse 17. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Ruach says unto the congregation. To him that overcome will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, in the stone a new name written.
A what?
A new name written.
Read.
Which no man knows except he that receiveth it.
So notice, people going to get a new name. This name is going to be significant, whatever it is. But these people are going to have the name. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15.
Revelation 13:15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image.
Do what?
And cause that as many as would not worship the image.
So we have the same thing in the second Babylon and in this third installment is trying to be forced worship. They're going to, yes, this is the third Babylon. So the first one, second one, and the third one, they're going to force you to worship. And it's penalty by death if you don't do it. Remember that. It's penalty of death if you don't do it. Revelation chapter 12, verse 13.
And cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 13.
Revelation 12 and 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness. That she might fly into the wilderness. I'm sorry. Into her place where she is nourished for a time, and times and half a time.
How long is that?
3.5 years.
It's 3.5 years. Read.
From the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
To make war with who?
The remnant of her seed.
Which do what?
Which keep the commandments of Elohim, and have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach.
So the very thing that you're supposed to be doing is going to show who you are. If you're not in the safe place, it means that you're not going to be participating in the building of the idol. You're not going to bow down and fall down and worship like everybody else that's going to be there. And that's going to send him after you. So your very obedience to Yah is going to make you public enemy number 1 to this person. Now, Cush was the mighty hunter. Hunter of men. And we know that he was the king. He was over everything. So let's get Daniel chapter 1, verse 5. Second installment of Babylon.
Daniel 1 and 5. And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat.
Of what?
Of the king's meat.
So what is this king showing you that he's over and he got control of? The food. How does it? Have any of y'all been without food before? not by choice. So when you fasted, you just, I'm a fast today, right? I ain't gonna eat nothing. But has it ever been a time in your life that there is no food? That's a whole different story. That just means you really ain't hungry. Like my mama used to say, if you was hungry, you were gonna get in there and eat them spaghetti. I just made a whole pot of spaghetti.
Said for the whole week. By day 2 or 3, boy, it's like, come on, man. You got to make different ways to eat it now. You know what I'm saying? You got to.
We had spaghetti sandwiches. So, we can't really relate to not having no food. But dude gonna be over everything. He gonna be over everything. And without him in this world, you ain't gonna be able to eat or buy and sell. Right? It's gonna be rough. So man, without Yah's spirit is just a beast. And what are beasts controlled by? The belly, the appetite. It's nothing but thinking about eating. All it's thinking about is eating. Get me verse 7.
Unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names, for he gave unto Daniel the name Belshazzar, and to Hananiah of Shadrach, and to Mishael, Meshach, and to Azariah, Abednego. But Daniel proposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portions of the king's meat.
That he would what?
Not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat.
So you got to make the same type of choice and decision if you were there at this time, not to defile yourself with the king's meat. Exactly. Don't care. You see that ham roasting on that thing. Oh my goodness. And you think about your days prior to knowing the truth, and that thought of that ham come back in your mind. Woo! Boy, that barbecue smell good. Can't give into it. If you here at this time, if you're not in the safe place, you can't give into it. Genesis 47:13.
And there was no bread in all the land.
There was what?
No bread in all the land.
Read.
For the famine was very sore. So that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine.
So these people so hungry, they are fainting. Again, none of us can really relate to this. Read.
And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into the Pharaoh's house. And when money failed in the land, when money failed in the land of Egypt.
So it says when money failed, what y'all think going to happen to these green pieces of paper that we got? Worthless, right? What makes this piece of paper better than this one? Because they put 100 on this one and a 5 on this one, or a 50 on this one. It's the same piece of paper, right? So why not just make all the pieces of paper with 100 on it?
Inflation.
Something's going to happen where all the money is going to fail. Genesis 47, started at verse 13. Read on.
We at verse 15 right now, though. And when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread.
Do what?
Give us bread.
Read.
For why should we die in your presence? For the money failed. And Joseph said, Give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph. That's kind of backwards, don't it? Sheesh. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses. They just man. Right.
Read.
And for the flocks, for the cattle of the herds, and for the donkeys, he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year.
For how long?
For that year.
For a year. So nobody got no money for a whole year. So now you got to come and sell your precious belongings that you have, which they're really not that precious in the first place. Read.
And when the year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said unto him, We will not hide it from you, my master, how that our money is spent. No. My master also got our herds of cattle. There ain't nothing left in the sight of my master, but our bodies and our land.
But our what?
Our bodies and our land.
So to eat, what are these people willing to do?
Sell they sell.
They are selling themselves. They are selling themselves. So it's showing you the extent that people will go to eat. You will sell yourself in order to eat and survive. Read.
Wherefore shall we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us.
Do what?
Buy us. And our land for bread.
So this is buying and
Selling.
selling. These people are selling themselves for food. Read.
And we in our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live.
What's another word for servant? Slaves. This is what they actually saying. We're going to be your slaves in order to eat, in order to survive. Read.
That we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate. And Joseph brought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he removed them to cities from one end of the borders of Egypt even to the other end thereof.
Read.
Only the land of the priests.
Only the land of who?
Only the land of the priests.
Read.
Bought he not.
Wait a minute. So everybody else did it except for the priest. What you think the quote-unquote priest or the people gonna do to the people in the end?
Aside. Go back there with your mom.
So only the priests don't have to give up their stuff in their land. Why not them? They what? They part of the whole thing. Just like what do the priests do all through the book? They part of the system. They corrupt. They all are part of the stuff. Now, the Antichrist is going to have control over the food as well. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16.
Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16. And he calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive a mark in their right hand.
So again, he's got control over everything, the rich and the poor. When the food is going away and only one person got it, what do your money actually mean now? Nothing. So if you were on a deserted island and you had your briefcase on the plane with you stuffed with $1 million, and this other guy had a briefcase or a suitcase with food in it, which one of these guys the richest? The guy with the food. Because your money don't actually mean nothing. It's going to fail. Same way that it failed back there. He's got charge over everything. Since he got the charge over everything, people are going to worship him. Give me Genesis chapter 10 and verse 9.
Genesis 10:9, and he was a mighty hunter before Yahuwah.
He was what?
A mighty hunter before Yahuwah.
He was a mighty hunter in the face of Yah. Read.
Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter in the face of Yahuwah.
In the what?
In the face of Yahuwah.
So he was the mighty hunter. If you didn't get down with that tower and you didn't do that worship that they were doing, because all of the religions in the world go back to this tower. Don't let nobody fool you talking about the Roman Catholic Church created Islam and all this stuff. All of that stuff go back to this tower. It was a worship system. And everything go back to this. Roman Catholicism created Islam, that they define the scriptures. They made something new. He told us there's nothing new under the sun. So that stuff go all the way back here. Everybody left from that tower worshiping the same person, even though they was calling a different name. It was the same person and the same system that they were all doing. Same thing. So again, this is a sensual, fleshly kingdom that's built on everything physical, no Yah in it. The mix of good and the mix of evil. Give me James chapter 3, verse 10. So it's a place of good and pleasure. It's a pleasure-centered kingdom. Do as you will.
James 3 and 10. Of the same mouth proceed blessings and cursing.
So the same what?
Out of the same mouth proceed blessing and cursing.
What kind of mouth is that?
A reprobate one. A mixed
What
one.
kind? It's a Babylonian mouth. It's got two things in it. It don't supposed to be. Read that again.
Out of the same mouth proceed blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. Do a fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter?
So it can't happen. It don't supposed to be. They don't supposed to mix. It's either going to be this type of water or this type. They don't supposed to be together. But this mouth is doing both. It's blessing and it's cursing. That shouldn't be. Read.
To the fig tree, my brother, bear olive berries, either a vine, figs, so can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh. Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness and of wisdom. But if you have bitter envying and strife in your heart, esteem not, and lie not against the truth.
You have what in your heart?
Bitter envying and strife in your heart. Esteem not, and lie not against the truth.
And do what?
And lie not against the truth.
And lie not against the truth. But this mouth will have both the truth and a lie in it at the same time. So the Babylonian mind frame is pleasure. Live for now. Right? A kingdom void of Yah. Yah. False spirit in it. Everything about the physical world. Just like Solomon. Give me 1 Kings chapter 10. Verse 1.
First Kings 10 and 1. And when the queen of Sheba heard the fame of Solomon concerning the name of Yahuwah.
Concerning what?
The name of Yahuwah.
So it starts off with Yah. It's concerning the name of Yah. Read.
She came to prove him with a hard questions. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices, very much gold, precious stones. When she was come to Solomon, she communed with him, and all that was in her heart. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king which he told her not. And when the queen of Sheba had seen all of Solomon's wisdom, and the house that he had built,
so she's seen his wisdom and the house that he built. Read.
and the meat of his table, the sitting of his servants, the attendance of his ministers, their apparel, his cupbearer.
So everybody is decked out in his kingdom. Even the servants that sit around him, all of them is laid out. Read.
In his ascent by which he went up into the house of Yahuwah, there was no more spirit in her.
There was what?
There was no more spirit in her.
What does that mean, there was no more spirit in her? It took her breath away. Was she just, now she is the queen, right? So she's supposed to have some of this stuff herself. Look at all the stuff that she just brought. But her breath is blown away at Solomon. Read.
And she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in my own land of your acts and of your wisdom. Howbeit, I believed not the words until I came and my own eyes seen it.
I didn't even believe that you was as great as they said you was. I had to come here and see you for myself. Read.
Behold, the half was not told to me.
The what?
The half was not told to me.
Read.
Your wisdom and prosperity exceeds the fame which I heard.
Now, think of what Solomon is feeling while she's saying this to him.
Go on.
Continue. And you say, it's like my bushy hair. You like my bushy beard as well? Say on.
Say on.
Say on.
Say they ain't even tell you half of it.
So the queen is coming and talking to him like this. He the man and he know it. Read.
Happy are your men. Happy are these your servants, which stand continually before you.
Which do what?
Which stand continually before you.
Wait a minute. There's somebody else that has somebody standing continuously before them. Who is that? That's Yah. The Malachim stand before him all the time saying what?
Holy, holy, holy.
The 3 times. But right here, it says that he got these people standing before him. Remember, it took him 7 years to build Yah's house, and it took him how long to do his? It's 13. He was competing with Yah. He was making his kingdom greater than Yah's. Read.
And that hear your wisdom. Blessed be Yahuwah, your Elohim, which delight in you to set you on the throne of Israel. Because Yahuwah loved Israel forever. Therefore made he you king to do judgment and justice.
To do what?
Judgment and justice.
Did he do judgment and justice? Read on.
And she gave the king 120 talents of gold.
How much?
120 talents of gold.
Read.
And of spices, very great store, and precious stones. There came no more such abundance of spices as these which the queen of Sheba gave to the king Solomon.
Let me ask y'all a question. When do you feel your most up? I want you to be real. When do you feel at your most up?
When you get paid on Friday.
I want y'all to be real. Don't try to give me no fake answer. When you got what? When you got money.
Your shower be extra long that day.
There you go.
You go put out you know what I'm saying? Like you might wear the Ray-Bans during the week, but you putting on the Buffs on the weekend. You know what I'm saying? You got the extra cologne you spraying. You go get your car cleaned out.
Yep. All them fries. So this is when most people feel they most up when you got pocket full of money. Remember, it's really just paper. Fooling yourself. Read on from where you was at.
And the navy also of Haram that brought gold from Ophir, brought in from Ophir great plenty of almug trees and precious stones. And the king made the almug trees pillars for the house of Yahuwah. And for the king's house, harps also and psalteries for singers. There came no such almug trees, nor were seen unto this day.
Unto what day?
Unto today.
Read.
And King Solomon gave unto the queen of Sheba all her desires.
He gave him everything, but he didn't give Yah what he required. Read.
Whatsoever she asked, beside that which Solomon gave her of his royal bounty. So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servants. Now the weight of gold that came in 1 year was 600, 66 gold talents of gold.
Why is this number linked to this man out of all people? Notice how much stuff he got. He broke all the commandments that belonged to kings, that was directly for kings. He got all this physical stuff, right? All of these physical things. And then they linked this number to him. Keep that in mind. Read.
Besides that, he had of the merchantmen and of the traffic of the spice of merchants.
What does he have?
He had of merchantmen and of the traffic of the spice of merchants.
The traffic. What is traffic? Business. What kind of business?
Illegal. But that's normally when you hear traffic, you hear illegal. But it's like the moving back and forth from city to city, state to state, country to country.
But he got gold and silver and all of these things from these people. So we got something coming in with this traffic. Yeah, go ahead, get it.
All right. Traffic. It says of merchandise, of trade.
Of what?
Trade.
Merchandise of trade or buying or selling. So when you got a pocket full of money, what's the first thing that you want to do?
Stunt.
Spending on what?
About to take homegirl out to eat. About to go buy your new watch. You know what I'm saying?
You're going to go and buy frivolous stuff that really ain't nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is when you fill up. So remember, he did this with traffic. He has much wisdom and understanding. Let's get Ezekiel 28 verse